Have you ever felt like your mind is a prison and you're the jailer? Day after day, you feed it dark thoughts that drain your strength, your hope, your peace. The cruelest part is, you don't even notice it, because the poison disguises itself as truth in your head. But listen, those thoughts are not you. You can break the bars, and today you'll learn how. In this video, you're going to discover the most powerful Stoic lessons to free your mind from negative thoughts. The Stoics knew that the worst suffering doesn't come from what happens to you, but from the toxic stories your mind makes you believe. You won't find empty promises here. You'll find real strategies, painfully honest and effective. Tools that will teach you the power of positive thinking, that will help you silence the voice that drags you down and awaken the one that lifts you up. If you're tired of being a slave to your thoughts, if you want your mind to stop being your enemy and start being your refuge, this video is your first step toward that freedom. Before we start, let me ask you something. How long has it been since your own mind gave you some peace? How long have you been believing those stories that trap you and steal your calm? If this question stirs something inside you, subscribe and become an exclusive member to keep learning how to break those chains. And leave it in the comments as a declaration. Stoic at heart. Today, I take the reins of my mind. Because today, you decide to stop being a prisoner of your own thoughts. Lesson 1. Put your mind in order. Picture this. It's 3 in the morning and you're still awake. The room is silent, but in your head there's a deafening, out-of-tune concert that won't stop. You turn to the right, then to the left. Adjust the pillow again and again, but nothing works. Your mind keeps throwing emotional bills and forgotten tasks at you. Did you pay the electric bill, or will you wake up tomorrow with no power? That WhatsApp message you sent sounded too dry. They're probably offended. Maybe you should have added an emoji in that email so you didn't seem so cold. Each thought pushes the next, as if competing to see which one robs you of sleep first. And the worst part is, the more you try to quiet them, the louder they get. At some point, you catch yourself sweating under the covers like you're running a marathon. There you are, exhausted, heart racing, staring at the ceiling and wondering how something as small as a message or a bill can have so much power over your night. And the truth is, it's not the things themselves that trap you, but the mess you make of them in here. The good news is that mess can be cleaned up, if you learn to stay still. Let me tell you a Japanese fable that helped me understand this like nothing else. An old man had a beautiful pond, full of big, shimmering fish. Every day he tried to catch one, but the water was always so muddy he couldn't see anything. The more he lowered his net and stirred the water, the more mud rose from the bottom. For days he grew frustrated until he decided to do something different. He sat at the edge and waited. He took a deep breath, stopped disturbing the pond, and with time the mud settled to the bottom. The water became crystal clear, and the fish started to appear, calmly floating all around him. That's how your mind works too. The more you stir it, the more confused it becomes. The more you let it settle, the clearer you see everything. Epictetus explained it better than anyone, with a phrase he repeated almost like a mantra. It's not things that disturb men, but their opinions about those things. That man, who had neither wealth nor perfect health, knew the key wasn't controlling the world but stopping the mud from swirling in his own pond. And he practiced it daily, living with humility and calm, even through hardships that would have broken anyone else. So now I ask you, do you finally want to put your thoughts in order? Today, we're going to follow the advice of Nick Wignall, a psychologist who knows exactly how to do it. And I promise you, before you know it, everything will start to clear up, and even thinking positively will feel like the most natural thing in the world. Start with something simple. Take all those thoughts spinning in your head and write them down, just as they come, no censorship or filter. Do it like you're making a list for an impossible supermarket trip. Electric bill, dry WhatsApp, email with no emoji. Why haven't they replied yet? What if it rains tomorrow? The more you write, the more you'll see that most of them are just mud floating around, not real monsters. Then, learn to worry, but at the right time. Set aside a specific time of day, even just 15 minutes to think about your problems. Outside of that time, if a worry tries to sneak in, calmly answer, "No, I'll think about this later." Your mind will start to understand it can't barge in at 3 in the morning with its absurd demands. And finally, when you notice the chaos coming back, take a breath and return to the present. Look around and name 5 things you can see, 4 you can hear, 3 you can touch. It's like reminding your mind that the here and now is always simpler than it imagines. My friend, the mind is like a pond. You won't see anything if you keep stirring the water nonstop. To learn to think positively and start choosing thoughts that strengthen you, instead of sinking you, you first need to stay still. Let the mud settle and discover the fish that were always there, waiting for you to notice them. Lesson 2. Erase the noise from your mind. Imagine walking into a crowded room. Everyone is talking at the same time. Some are arguing about politics, others are gossiping, and a few are shouting about products you don't need. The voices blend together, words overlap. You try to focus on just one conversation, but it's impossible. The noise is overwhelming. Now tell me, what would you do in that situation? Most likely you'd leave as soon as possible, because it's impossible to think in the middle of that chaos. So here's the important question. If you wouldn't tolerate being in a room like that, why do you let your mind live in that same noise every single day? Because that's exactly what we do. We fill our heads with other people's voices. Social media, ping, notification, news, flash, breaking story. Messages, beep beep, ads, comparisons, criticism. Everything comes at us without a filter. And without realizing it, we're trapped in a storm of mental noise. And of course, noise is addictive. Psychologists explain it well. The more information we consume, the harder it is for our brains to filter what actually matters. We become restless, distracted, constantly overwhelmed. It's like trying to write on a blank page that's already covered in scribbles. Seneca knew this. He said, "Part of happiness is not wanting what you don't need." You don't need to know what an influencer had for breakfast. You don't need to read about the latest internet controversy. You don't need to fill every minute of your mind with irrelevant information. What you really need is clarity. A calm mind. One that's focused on you and on improving every single day. So, how do you break this cycle? I have a challenge for you. Try a mental diet. Imagine waking up and not grabbing your phone first thing. What can you do instead? Take a minute to stretch, take a deep breath, and just be present. Then have breakfast. Not with your phone in your hand, not with the TV on. Just you, your food, and silence. You leave the house. No music, no podcasts, no news playing in the background. Just the sound of the real world. You hear the wind, footsteps, the little details that digital noise usually drowns out. During the day, every time you feel the urge to check social media for no reason, pause. Ask yourself, do I actually need to see this right now? At lunchtime, you don't scroll through the news. You eat slowly. You actually taste your food. Your mind isn't somewhere else. It's here. In the afternoon, you decide not to read negative news. Nothing happens if you miss a day of world drama. And before bed, instead of mindlessly watching random videos, you write down how you feel. Just a few lines, nothing more. Now tell me, can you imagine a day like that? Less noise, more clarity, less distraction, more focus on yourself, on building your best version. I challenge you to try it, just for one day. Because in a world full of noise, silence is your superpower. Lesson 3. Calm, the superpower no one uses. Has it ever happened that someone cuts you off in traffic and suddenly your whole body lights up as if they'd insulted you in public? Or someone sends you a message on WhatsApp and you instantly imagine the worst tone possible, complete with facial expression? And at home, someone leaves a towel out of place and suddenly you act like it's a personal offense. You know it. And the worst part is you realize it right after, when it's too late and you think, why did I react like that? The answer is simple, though not easy to accept, because your mindset still isn't strong enough. because you haven't learned to protect your calm as the most valuable thing you have. Now, listen to me. Did you know calm is like that free Wi-Fi you see everywhere but never connect to? It's there, ready to use, but you always choose the mobile data of drama, instant reactions, raised voices, and overwhelm. And all of that wears you down. Every time you lose your temper, you don't just lose energy, you also lose a little bit of your confidence. Because yes, keeping calm and trusting yourself is what allows you to face anything without letting it shake you. My friend, don't get it twisted. Calm is not the absence of emotion. It's knowing how to be in the middle of chaos without letting the chaos get inside you. It's like that worm curled up at the center of an apple. You can't see it from the outside, nobody notices it, but it's there, right at the core. Still, steady, centered. It doesn't draw attention, but it has everything under control. That's what calm is like. It goes unnoticed, but it's what holds everything together on the inside. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by wars, political betrayals, illness, and yet he found time to write lines like this: "Inner tranquility is a refuge in the midst of any storm." He couldn't stop the storms outside, but he built a place within himself where no one else had access. When everyone else was shouting, he thought. When everyone despaired, he wrote. And when everything seemed to collapse, he kept his gaze steady, because he understood that true power isn't in reacting fast, but in responding with serenity. That was his strength, and it can be yours too. Now picture this. You're in an online meeting and suddenly someone raises their voice. They interrupt you, contradict you, maybe even point at you with sarcasm. Your first impulse is to defend yourself, raise your tone, justify yourself, but you don't. Instead, you breathe. You lower your gaze slightly, connect with yourself, and answer with a short, clear, calm sentence. You're not giving in. You're leading. The other person stops, hesitates, maybe even lowers their tone. Because you've done something that disarms them. You didn't play their game. And that, in truth, is keeping control. That's when it shows that your mindset is firmly grounded. That's when it's clear that no matter what happens, you lose neither your calm nor your confidence. My friend, next time you feel your chest pounding like a drum, try this. Close your eyes for 30 seconds and breathe with intention, not to escape the moment but to prepare your mind. Then, I challenge you to listen to a couple of minutes of calming music. Do you know Chad Lawson? I recommend his podcast, Calm It Down. In just 15 minutes, he blends soft music with simple breathing and mindfulness techniques. It's like hitting a reset button for your day. And if you're in the middle of a conversation or can't put your headphones on, do something even simpler. Repeat this phrase to yourself, like a pocket mantra. Calm first, reaction after. And no, this isn't about looking like a statue or hiding what you feel. It's about choosing with intention. From now on, calm will be your silent superpower. Because when you can stay steady on the inside, you trust yourself more, and nothing and no one can shake you. And that, without a doubt, is living with strength. Lesson 4. Let go of the lies that hold you back. Ah, my friend, those lies you tell yourself, yes, those. Don't pretend. We all have them. I'm not enough. It's not for me. Someone else would do it better. There you are, talking to yourself like your worst enemy and at the same time trying to move forward. It's like tying your shoes together and expecting to run. And the worst part is, you don't even notice. Because they sound so familiar, you take them as truths. Limiting beliefs are like old cassettes we keep playing on loop, even though they're full of static, and nobody even owns a tape player anymore. They're there, scratched and worn, saying the same thing over and over. You can't, you shouldn't, you're not worth it. Picture this. You're about to send your resume for a job you really want. You've already written the email, even practiced your interview answers in your head, imagining how you'll talk about your achievements. But just before you hit send, that voice shows up. At first it whispers, they're probably looking for someone younger, with connections, better than you. And instead of answering it, you feed it. You start thinking, besides, my English isn't perfect. They'll notice. Then, My resume's a mess. Who do I think I am to go for this? Then, if they call me, I'll just get nervous and blow it. And then, I don't even have the right clothes for an interview like that. They'll see I'm not up to it. Your fingers hover over the keyboard as an uncomfortable heat rises in your chest. Your palms sweat. Your jaw clenches. And the phrases keep falling like drops. You're going to make a fool of yourself. They probably already picked someone and just posted the listing to look fair. Don't even bother. And so, with a click that never comes, you close the screen and leave the email in drafts. As if by not sending it, by hiding, you're avoiding a failure that doesn't even exist yet. 2 days later, you open LinkedIn, and there it is. The photo of the new hire, someone your age, with your same profile, maybe even with less experience than you. Smiling, proud because they did try. How would you feel? Don't you see? It wasn't the world that stopped you. It was your own thoughts. How many more chances are you going to let slip away because you keep believing those scratched-up cassettes? If you need some inspiration to break those cassettes, think of Oprah Winfrey. She was fired from her first job for not being fit for TV. Imagine if she had believed that lie. Instead of repeating it, she started telling herself something different. She even says it herself. What you believe has more power than what you dream or wish or hope for. You become what you believe. That's how she built her career, by swapping out the cassette for a new one, where she was already enough to try, to mess up, and to keep trying until she made it. And you know who else we can learn this from, right? Yes, you know. The Stoics were masters at this. Epictetus put it plainly when he said, "No man is free if he is not master of himself." And being master of yourself starts here, with what you choose to believe about yourself, which thoughts you feed and which ones you dare to throw away. Now, if you want to start dismantling those lies and really learn to think positively, here's how. First, identify the phrases you tell yourself every time you're about to take a big step. I'm not good enough. That's not for me. I don't have what it takes. Write them all down on a big sheet of paper like graffiti on a wall you're finally going to clean. Then, ask yourself where they come from. Did someone say that to you years ago? Or did you assume it because you failed once? Many of those phrases aren't even yours. They're echoes of someone else you let settle into your head. And finally, act against that belief, even if just in a small way. If your cassette says, "I can't speak in public," don't sign up to give a full keynote speech just yet. Do something simple, like offering to read a short note at the next meeting. Every time you challenge that lie, the tape wears down a little more until it breaks. So, are you really going to keep living with the blinds shut? To learn to think positively, you need to let the light in and let go of the lies that hold you back. Because nothing weighs more than a thought that isn't yours, and nothing frees you more than realizing it was never true. Lesson 5. Turn the blows into fuel. Imagine you're out at sea. The waves keep coming one after another, pushing you back. You're exhausted, frustrated, feeling like you're not moving forward. But suddenly, instead of fighting them, you adapt to their rhythm. You use each impact as a push, and without realizing it, you're closer to shore. That's exactly how life's blows work. They can drown you, or they can propel you forward. It all depends on what you do with them. And before you say this sounds too idealistic, think for a moment. How many times have you gone through something tough that later made you stronger, clearer, more yourself? It wasn't pretty or easy, but it was fuel. And that's exactly what you need if you want to keep your calm and your confidence, even in the middle of chaos, so that nothing and no one can shake you inside. Seneca put it plainly in a powerful phrase: "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." In other words, every blow you thought would break you in two was actually building your backbone. But of course, this only works if you learn to see those difficulties as training. And here's the key question: are you doing that? Because often it's not the blow that hurts most. It's how you interpret it. If you believe something bad means you're not good enough, you sink. But if you see it as a challenge forcing you to level up, your mindset changes. And that's where your true strength begins. Picture this. You're working on a big project, days of effort, sleepless nights. And just 1 week before delivery, the client cancels. Goodbye to your work, goodbye to the money. Worst of all, you feel it was all for nothing. That night you can't sleep. Your stomach's in knots. Anger, disappointment. But the next day, something shifts. You decide to learn a new skill so you can offer something different. You start small, taking on minor projects. One of those clients recommends you, and that unexpected turn, born from the blow, becomes your takeoff. No, it wasn't magic. It was choice. It was mindset. Now let's get practical, because this isn't just about inspiration. It's about movement. First, when you take a hit, bad news, rejection, disappointment, pause for a second. Breathe and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What skill is life asking me to develop? Sometimes the answer won't come right away, but simply asking the question already changes your stance. Second, write down one action. Not something huge, something small, manageable. Can you read 10 pages of that book you've been putting off? Send that email you've been avoiding? Try a new strategy? Do it today. Because when you act, you stop being the victim of the blow and become the author of your response. Third, celebrate. Even if it's just one step. Even if all you did was get out of bed when it was hard. Even if you simply held yourself together without snapping. Celebrate the fact that you didn't let yourself be dragged under. Because that attitude is what feeds your confidence and strengthens your inner calm. Exactly what you need so that, no matter what happens, you don't lose control of your inner world. And if you ever feel like you can't take it anymore, that a blow has left you without strength or direction, hear this. In one episode of Rob Dial's podcast, he says something that stuck with me. That every time life knocks you to the ground, it's giving you a new perspective. And from down there you can see things you'd never notice standing up. So when you're in that place, put on your headphones and listen to one of those episodes. It won't fill you with empty slogans, but with concrete ideas to get back up stronger. Sometimes, you just need someone to remind you that this blow, if you use it well, can be your best push forward. My friend, I'll leave you with this thought. What's the most recent blow you could turn into fuel? Think about it. Because maybe, right there, in what hurts now, is your next big opportunity. Share it in the comments. And if you feel this message connected with you, write, "Today I turn my blows into fuel." Because recognizing the hit, taking a deep breath and moving forward with determination is for the brave, and you've already proven you can be one. Sixth lesson. Surround yourself with coffee people, the ones who wake you up inside. You've seen them, I'm sure. Those people who could win an Olympic medal for complaining. You hang out with them and even the good things turn into tragedies. A promotion at work becomes, "Yeah, but now I'll have more stress." Beautiful weather turns into, "I bet it'll rain tomorrow." You invite them to dinner, and they gripe that the dessert is too sweet. There are groups of friends like that. One starts whining, and in less than 5 minutes everyone's competing to see who has the most miserable life. If you don't believe me, think about your own group. Your WhatsApp group, for example. The one where someone sends a sad meme at 8 in the morning, and soon everyone's complaining about the traffic, the politics, Monday, life in general. If Marcus Aurelius saw that, he'd calmly leave the chat and say, "Leave the WhatsApp group where they only send sad memes." My friend, surrounding yourself with those people is like trying to fly while tied to balloons filled with lead. You can try as hard as you want, but every word from them weighs you down, drags you, and ends up coloring your thoughts until yours sound just as gray. And no, this isn't about looking down on anyone or thinking you're better. It's about protecting your own color. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. The soul takes on the color of its thoughts, and your thoughts, more often than not, catch the tone of the people you spend the most time with. Let me tell you something that really inspires me. One of the wisest people I've ever learned from, and he wasn't a Stoic, though I'm sure he read them, was Kobe Bryant. He said that in the gym, at dawn, he always looked to train with the ones already sweating at that hour, not the ones who showed up late and half asleep. He said the level of the people around you forces you to either rise or sink. That's why he chose to be with the ones who were already fighting while everyone else was still dreaming. You see it now, right? If even one of the best basketball players in the world sought out those coffee people, the ones who wake you up inside, who make you sweat instead of complain, why would you settle for people who always seem half asleep? If Kobe understood it with all his talent, it's because he knew the mind also needs company that fires it up. You too can start today, choosing better companions for your journey so that every thought you plant feels lighter, more positive, more yours. So now I ask you, do you want your thoughts to become clearer, stronger, more your own? Do you want to learn to surround yourself with people who lift you up instead of dragging you down? Start by looking at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Notice how you feel after being with someone, lighter or drained. That feeling is your compass. Then, even if you don't have anyone like that around yet, start looking for spaces, even online at first, with people who talk about challenges, solutions, and dreams, not just problems. Energy rubs off, just like complaints, but so do dreams. And if you don't have anyone yet, it's okay, really. You can start by listening to podcasts or reading people who are already going in the direction you want. Even if they don't answer you directly, those voices already start to wake you up inside. So, my friend, remember, learning to think positively isn't just about avoiding what drags you down. It's also about moving closer to what lifts you up. If you want to feel your mind light up instead of cloud over, choose more carefully who fills your surroundings. And next time you open that WhatsApp group full of complaints, remember Marcus Aurelius, and leave with a smile. And tell me, what phrase would you use to remind yourself to look for coffee people in your life? Leave it below in the comments. Maybe your phrase will be just the one that inspires someone else in this community. If you need a little inspiration, here's one to start with. I want people who wake me up, not shut me down. Lesson 7. Speak less, make more impact. It is said that Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary samurai, rarely spoke. Not because he was shy, not because he had nothing to say, but because he knew that words mean little if actions don't back them up. Legend has it that before every duel, his opponent would boast about their skills, make bold promises of victory, and try to intimidate him with grand speeches. Musashi, on the other hand, simply observed in silence, and when the moment of truth arrived, he let his sword do the talking. In the end, the one who spoke the most was always the first to fall. Epictetus put it simply, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Think about it. What's the point of saying you're disciplined if you don't keep your commitments? What's the point of promising to change if you keep repeating the same habits? What's the point of talking about your plans if you never take action? Here's the uncomfortable truth. When you talk too much, you lose focus. You waste energy explaining what you will do, convincing others, seeking validation. And in the end, all you accomplish is distracting yourself from what really matters, taking action. Now imagine this. You have a brilliant business idea. In your mind, it's crystal clear, the name, the logo, the website, the marketing strategy. You can already visualize success, and every person you meet, you tell them with excitement, I'm launching my own business, it's going to be amazing, I'm going to revolutionize the market. Day after day, you keep talking about it. You make lists, watch videos, read about entrepreneurship. You feel like you're making progress because you're thinking about it all the time. But the reality, you haven't done a thing. You haven't built a product. You haven't made a single call. You haven't taken the first step. And the worst part? The more you talk about it, the more you feel like you're already on your way, like just saying it out loud is enough to make it real. But it's not. Weeks later, you see someone else launch a similar idea and you think, that could have been me. So do you really want to build something real? Or do you just like the idea of talking about it? Look, becoming your best self isn't about announcing what you're going to do. It's about doing it. Let your results speak for you. Don't tell people you're changing, let them notice. Don't announce that you're going to wake up early. Just do it. Don't explain that you've become more disciplined. Let your actions prove it. This isn't about hiding your progress. It's about focusing on execution instead of wasting energy on words. And beyond that, use fewer words and more presence. Listen more. Speak only when you have something meaningful to contribute. Instead of trying to impress with speeches, impress with your attitude. Because in the end, words come and go. But actions, they leave a lasting impact. Now tell me, do your words add value, or do they just fill the air? Because your best self isn't built with promises, it's built with actions. Lesson 8. Silence. The trick no one tells you. When was the last time you were truly silent? And no, I'm not talking about when you're on the subway not talking to anyone. I mean a real moment of calm, no phone, no music, no background noise. Just you, breathing, listening to the sound of your own thoughts. Can you remember? If you have to think hard, it's been too long. And the funny thing is, we don't realize how much the noise affects us until we turn it off. This will sound familiar. Saturday morning, you turn on the TV while checking social media. Reply to a couple of messages. Put on some music. And by 11, without having done anything really important, you already feel drained. Then you wonder why you're out of energy and your head is racing. The problem isn't the day, it's that you don't give your mind a moment to breathe. Imagine a glass of water. If you shake it non-stop, everything gets cloudy. You can't see the bottom, nothing is clear. But if you let it sit still, slowly, everything settles and the water clears up. Well, my friend, your mind works the same way. When you're surrounded by notifications, conversations, and constant noise, you can't see what's inside. Only when you stop can you see clearly what you really think and feel. Marcus Aurelius knew this well. In his meditations, he wrote something that, if you read it slowly, changes how you see everything. Men seek retreats for themselves, houses in the country, by the sea, in the mountains. You too desire these things with great force, but they are for the most common. It is within your power whenever you want to retire into yourself. He wasn't talking about physical escape, but about withdrawing to a more valuable place, your inner silence, that space where nothing and no one can disturb what you feel. And you know what? Modern science agrees. Cal Newport, author of Deep Work, explains that silence and digital disconnection aren't luxuries, but necessary conditions to think clearly. When you reduce noise, your brain stops reacting to every stimulus and starts generating its own ideas. And no, you don't need to go on a spiritual retreat. It's enough to decide to disconnect, even if just for a few minutes. Even the greats practice silence to maintain calm. Ryan Holiday has silence built into his routine like brushing his teeth. He spends hours working without interruptions. He's not checking his phone every 2 minutes or filling quiet moments with music or videos. He purposely seeks out those quiet times because he knows that's when his mind gets organized. And he calls it what it is, an act of power, choosing to be silent when everything around you screams for your attention. Next time your mind feels chaotic, trust me and try this. Start by turning off all notifications for half an hour. Don't look at your phone, don't play music. Just observe what's happening inside you. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Your head will look for noise to fill the space. But that's exactly the sign you need it. Then, find a place where you can be alone. It doesn't matter if it's your room, an empty park, or even your parked car. Stay there a few minutes longer than you want. Because in that extra time is when your mind starts to settle, like the glass of water. And when it does, the calm you feel is different. It's not something that depends on everything being perfect outside. It comes from within. Silence, my friend, isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of clarity. It's that moment when you take back control of what you think and feel. And when you learn to enter that space every day, Even for a few minutes, you become harder to shake. Because while others react to every noise in the world, you decide when to open the door and when to close it. And that, believe me, is one of the purest ways to keep your calm and confidence intact. Now, tell us, what's your ritual for finding silence in the middle of chaos? Inspire others in the community to discover theirs. And if you don't have one, write in the comments. Today, I'll dedicate a few minutes to silence, and we'll see how we all start together. 9th lesson, your body speaks what you think. Look at yourself right now, this very moment. Yes, right now. If you're feeling negative, you don't even have to say a word. Your body's already saying it for you. Your shoulders hang as if you were carrying 2 backpacks full of bricks. Your eyes, instead of looking ahead, are studying the floor tiles like your life depends on them. Your hands don't know where to go, so they end up crossed, hidden in your pockets, or fiddling with whatever's nearby. Even your breathing changes, it becomes short and quick, like you're running away from a lion, when really you're just sitting here watching a video. Funny, isn't it? Just when you need to stand tall, your body seems to be the first to give up. But don't worry, this isn't just your problem. It happens to all of us. If you don't believe me, just look around. See that guy on the subway? Hunched in his seat, neck sunken, and his eyes glued to the floor like the tiles are his safe haven. Look at the one in the office. See him. His hands are so tense his knuckles have gone white. Jaw clenched, shoulders rigid. Looks like he might snap at someone any second. And now notice that person in the cafe, walking with their head held high. Notice the shoulders? Open, firm. And that little smile barely there, quietly saying, "I've got this." The body doesn't lie. It never does. And if you want, you can even picture Epictetus walking down a dusty road. Even with his limp, with his back straight and his gaze calm. Not even on his hardest days did he let his body collapse, because he knew full well, master your body and you'll master your mind. For him, the body wasn't just decoration or a burden, but an instrument he tuned every day, like a soldier sharpening his sword before battle. And so, even if inside he felt fear, outwardly he sent his mind the message that he was still standing, and that same thing still happens today. In her research, Amy Cuddy showed that just holding a power pose for a couple of minutes is enough for your body to start convincing your brain that it can handle whatever comes. Try it right now if you want. Open your shoulders, put your hands on your hips, and look straight ahead. Even if you don't believe it, in just 2 minutes, calm starts to seep in. Now, picture yourself. You're in a Zoom interview, trying to make a good impression. But after just a few minutes, almost without realizing it, you hunch down, cross your arms, and drop your gaze while a voice in your head keeps repeating, "What if they see I'm nervous?" That posture, which seems like it's protecting you, is actually sabotaging you. You're sending your mind the message that you can't handle the pressure, and it responds by ramping up the tension. But don't worry, you can change this starting today. How? By following some simple tips from Scott Tilley, a former CIA agent and now a leadership coach, who's seen people shake under interrogation and still manage to regain control. And you don't need to be a spy to use them. Start with your feet. Are they crossed or dancing under the table? Plant them firmly on the floor, like they're growing roots. That alone tells your mind, "I'm not running, I'm here." Then your hands. Are they hidden, ringing, or fidgeting with a pen? Bring them out. Rest them on the table, open and visible, like you're saying, "I've got nothing to hide." And finally, your shoulders. Chances are they're up by your ears right now. Let them go. Imagine an invisible string pulling you up from the crown of your head as you breathe slowly, counting to 4. That relaxes your body, softens your face, and sends your brain the message, "We're good, we can handle this." Tilley sums it up perfectly. Your body is the first message others receive, and the first one your mind hears. And he's right. When your body looks confident, your mind believes it. My friend, remember this always. To learn to think positively, your mind and body have to work together. When one falls, the other follows. So have you strengthened your back today? Lesson 10. Do what's right, not what's easy. Picture this. You're sitting in a meeting. The air is tense. The boss asks an uncomfortable question and everyone looks around, waiting for someone else to speak. Suddenly, you see the perfect opportunity to drop a comment that would make a colleague look bad and make you look good. You can feel it right there, almost on the tip of your tongue. That quick impulse saying, "Do it. Take the chance." But at the same time, another voice inside you reminds you, that's not who you are, that it's not worth betraying yourself for a moment of applause. You choose to stay silent or even defend that person. And here's the thing. In the end, you don't just earn respect, you also go home with the peace of having done the right thing. Tell me, how many times have you done what your impulses told you, only to regret it later? Probably more times than you'd like. It's like eating that whole pizza at 3 in the morning. Instant pleasure, guaranteed chaos the next day. And I'm not just talking about the indigestion. It happens with words we say, decisions we make, actions we know don't align with who we are. In the moment, it feels like a good idea, but afterward, they take away our peace. My friend, doing the right thing is like planting a tree. At first, you may not see results. It might even feel hard. But over time, that tree gives you shade, fruit, and a place you can always return to. Marcus Aurelius summed it up in a phrase that still hits hard. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. He didn't live in an easy world. He faced political pressures, wars, betrayals, but he understood that his real strength didn't come from winning every external battle, but from not losing the internal one. And that's the point. If you want nothing and no one to shake your mind, you have to trust yourself. And the best way to trust yourself is to know you always choose what's right, even when it's hard. This reminds me of Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. He lost everything: family, home, freedom. But he didn't lose his dignity. He said that even in the camps, there were two kinds of people: those who let circumstances dictate their behavior, and those who, even in the middle of horror, chose small acts of humanity, sharing a piece of bread, comforting another prisoner, refusing to steal clothes from someone weaker. Frankl said the last human freedom is to choose our attitude. And that choice, my friend, is what keeps you whole. Because when you do what's right, even if no one sees it, even if no one applauds, you send yourself a message: I can trust me. And that creates a kind of calm that's very different from the one given by circumstances. It's a calm that doesn't depend on whether the day is sunny or pouring rain. It depends only on you. So next time temptation whispers, "Do it now," you'll already have practiced, and you'll be able to keep your calm and your confidence intact. First, define your non-negotiable values. Write them down. Keep them close. Don't let them just float around as vague ideas in your head. If you know that integrity, honesty, or loyalty are your foundation, it'll be much harder for a single situation to pull you off track. Then, when you feel that push to act quickly, count to 10. And don't do it like reciting a recipe. Use that time to picture how you'll feel afterward if you follow your values, and how you'll feel if you break them. That image will help you decide. Finally, acknowledge every time you choose what's right, even if it's uncomfortable. Yes, celebrate it. It can be a quick thought: I did it, I stayed true. That recognition strengthens your trust in yourself, and trust is the foundation of your calm. Doing what's right won't always give you the fastest way out, but it will always give you the most lasting peace. And that peace is worth more than any short-term victory. So if you face a hard decision today, remember, your calm and your confidence are not up for negotiation. Lesson 11. Make peace with the present. There's an idea that creeps into your mind like an alarm that won't stop ringing. If I don't have everything planned, the meeting, the trip, the next message, it's all going to fall apart. That feeling that if something isn't calculated, everything will collapse. And the curious thing is that while you're trying to control what's coming, you forget what's already right in front of you. Picture yourself at the airport, backpack slung over your shoulder and a coffee in your hand, when they announce you've missed your flight. In less than a second, Your mind puts on a whole disaster play. I'll miss the connection too. They're going to lose my luggage. They'll charge me a fortune for a new ticket. Even maybe I'll end up living in this terminal forever. The more you think, the more tangled the story gets. You don't even see the floor anymore, only a dark future that doesn't even exist yet. You fidget, you complain, you pace up and down the hallway as your breath shortens and your shoulders tighten like ropes. After all that airport drama, you finally look up and realize the next flight leaves in 45 minutes. Your luggage is still there, untouched, and the Starbucks still smells of cinnamon as if nothing happened. All that theater for this. You realize you were fighting a future that didn't even exist yet. And in that silence, you can almost hear Marcus Aurelius, calm as ever, whispering to you, "Do not distress yourself with the future. It is already in the hands of nature." Because he lived it too. In the middle of wars, betrayals, and decisions that could cost him his life, he never allowed himself to drown in what hadn't happened yet. That's why every night, before going to sleep, he wrote in his journal to remind himself that the only time he could actually hold in his hands was this one, the now. Ellen Hendrickson explains the same thing to people who come to her practice with their hearts in knots. She shares it on her podcast with simple examples. Many arrive just like you, feeling stuck in a mental airport, chasing futures that only exist in their head. How do you get out of there? Ellen says it clearly. You don't have to pretend the future doesn't matter or try to erase it. You just need to loosen your grip for a moment. Stop clenching it in your mind and return to the only place where you can actually do something, here, now. So let me ask you, do you want to stop living with that feeling of running against a future you're not even sure will come? Here are a few steps that can help you make peace with the present and choose thoughts that strengthen you. First, try this simple exercise. When you feel the worry about what's coming, start to tighten its grip, take a deep breath and repeat to yourself, "This is happening now, not yet, or already, just now." You'll notice that little phrase acts like an anchor, stopping the tide of thoughts. Then stop for a couple of minutes and find 3 good things happening right now. Look at them, feel them. It could be the warm coffee heating your hands, or that unexpected message someone sent you this morning. Even the fresh air coming through the window and moving the curtains. They're small certainties, yes, but they have enormous power. They ground you. They remind you that the now weighs less than your mind wants you to believe. My friend, if you're here now, it's because this moment is real and your attitude can change it. To learn to think positively and stop being a hostage to your mind, make peace with the present and stop fighting what hasn't happened yet. Because every time you choose to be where you are, instead of getting lost in what's coming, you take power away from that voice that overwhelms you and regain the control that was always yours. And now tell me, what's the best thing you have right here, right now? Share it in the comments, or if you prefer, write it down as a declaration. Today I choose to be present. Because every time you choose the now, you win a battle against that future that only exists in your head. Lesson 12. Peace is not something you find, it's something you build. Stop for a second and answer this honestly. When was the last time you felt true peace? I'm not talking about those moments when you distract yourself with your phone or binge watch a series to escape reality. I mean that real sense of calm, of clarity, of being at peace with yourself and with life. If you can't remember the last time you felt that, you have a problem. Most people go through life waiting for peace to come to them. When I have more money, I'll be happy. When I get that job, I'll finally feel at ease. When this problem is over, I'll be able to relax. And so, we spend years chasing a mirage, as if peace were some hidden treasure we'll stumble upon one day. But my friend, peace is not something you look for. Peace is something you build. There are people who have lived through chaos, violence, and suffering, and yet they have found peace. Not because someone handed it to them, not because they discovered it on a spiritual retreat, or because the world suddenly decided to be kind to them. They built it. Astrid Medina is a perfect example of this. She endured one of the hardest tragedies. Her father was murdered during an armed conflict in her country. She lost the person she admired most, along with her sense of security. She could have been consumed by rage, by the desire for revenge, by grief. And who could blame her? But she chose a different path. Amidst all that chaos, she took control of her fate and focused on the only thing she could control: her own peace. During the peace negotiations, instead of locking herself in suffering, she found the strength to move forward. She became a coffee grower, worked tirelessly, and today, she is recognized for producing some of the best coffee in the world. She built her peace with every decision she made. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who was born a slave, understood this better than anyone. He once said, "Men are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." What does that mean? That peace does not depend on what happens around you. It depends on how you choose to face it. Think about it. If Epictetus, as a slave, could find serenity within himself, what's stopping us from doing the same? Of course, we're not living in ancient Rome. We live in a hyper-connected world, flooded with information, stress, and mental noise. We say we want peace, yet we keep filling our lives with things that steal it from us. Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, explained this with a simple metaphor. Your mind is like a glass of water with dirt at the bottom. If you constantly shake it, the water becomes cloudy and you can't see clearly. But if you let it sit, the dirt settles and the water becomes crystal clear again. So tell me, are you letting your mind settle, or are you still shaking it with unnecessary worries? And here's another key question. Are you waiting for peace to come to your life, or are you doing something to build it? If it's the second one, then it's time to change things right now. First, create pockets of calm in your day. You can't find peace if you're surrounded by chaos 24/7. Set aside at least 10 minutes a day to sit in silence. No distractions, no notifications, no external noise. Let your mind breathe. Second, learn to let go of what you can't control. How many times do you stress over things that are completely out of your hands? Traffic, other people's opinions, the past, the future. None of that is yours to control. Instead of wasting energy on what's beyond your reach, focus on what you can manage: your attitude, your effort, your response. Third, practice radical gratitude. Most people seek peace by waiting for life to change, but peace comes when you choose to appreciate what you already have. Every day, find at least one reason to be grateful. And don't just go for the obvious ones. Don't just be thankful for food or shelter. Be thankful for the person who made you laugh, for that quiet moment of rest, for the hot coffee that gave you a pause in your day. Remember, peace isn't something you'll find in a distant place. It's something you decide to build every single day, with every thought, every action, and every choice, to become the best version of yourself. Lesson 13. Embrace what you're meant to live. What if I told you that accepting when life runs you over isn't giving up? It's freeing yourself. Sounds contradictory, I know. But tell me this. How many times have you fought against reality as if it were a personal injustice? Something important gets canceled. The result isn't what you expected. Someone changes their mind. It rains on the very day you'd planned to go out. And there you are, angry, frustrated, feeling like the world is against you. And yes, I know, there are moments when it feels like everything is shaking, like life is pushing you and it's hard to stay on your feet. But my friend, that's exactly where the real challenge comes in. Accepting without surrendering, adapting without losing yourself. Like that bamboo that, in the middle of a typhoon, bends and sways with the wind, but doesn't break. On the contrary, it survives. Because it doesn't fight against the inevitable. It embraces it and waits for the moment to rise again. Marcus Aurelius knew this well when he wrote, "If something external distresses you, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your perception of it. And you can change that perception at any moment. There's no more powerful reminder that you are not trapped by what happens, but by how you choose to live it. And the best part is, that's entirely up to you." Picture this. You get an unexpected email, you've been fired just like that, and your first thought is, this can't be happening, this is a nightmare. You freeze, your hands shake, you start mentally running through every bill, every plan, every commitment. Panic sets in. You want to find someone to blame, to understand why, but you can't. You're not in a state to think clearly. You've lost your calm, and with it, all your power. Because yes, when your mind loses order, everything else starts to fall apart. And that's exactly why I want to tell you the story of James Stockdale, a man who was a prisoner of war for years in Vietnam, subjected to torture, to the daily uncertainty of whether he'd ever see his family again. Do you know what kept him going? His decision to accept the situation without falling into victimhood, to not lose his dignity or inner strength, no matter how inhumane things got. He couldn't change what he had to live through, but he could change how he faced it. And that's what saved him. If he could do it in a prison cell, you can do it in an office, in a breakup, or in an unexpected change. So what can you do when everything starts shaking? Acceptance is not giving up. It's taking control from within. You don't need to understand everything or even like what happened. You just need to make room for it without fighting reality. Try this simple exercise. Every morning, as soon as you wake up, make a quick mental list. Something like, it might rain today, they could cancel that meeting. I might feel more tired than usual. This isn't pessimism. It's Stoic foresight. And then, for each one, imagine how you would respond without losing control. It's like preparing yourself emotionally so nothing catches you off guard. Then, every time something unexpected happens, quietly tell yourself, all right, this is what's here. Those 5 words are like a shield. They bring you back to the present. And from there, focus only on the next action that depends entirely on you. Was it canceled? What can I do now? Is everything delayed? How can I reorganize my day? That small step is what gives you back your control. And finally, notice how, by doing this, the weight you were carrying starts to feel lighter. Not because the situation changed, but because you're no longer fighting it. You're walking with it. And that, believe me, gives you a kind of freedom very few people know. Calm isn't about living in a world without problems. It's about having a mind that doesn't get shaken with every change. That's true strength. That's the mindset that keeps you steady when everything around you moves. Accepting what comes your way is not surrendering. It's taking back control from a deeper place. Because when your mind stays calm even in the storm, my friend, nothing can defeat you. And you? Are you ready to stop fighting and start living with more strength? Lesson 14. Give yourself permission to be happy. My friend, let me ask you something. How many times have you been right in the middle of a perfect moment and still didn't let yourself be happy? How many times have you wanted to laugh, to dance, to just enjoy, and instead you stayed seated thinking you didn't deserve it? It happens more often than we admit. We convince ourselves that to be happy we first have to achieve something, check everything off the list, be good. And in the meantime, we sit on the sidelines watching others dare to live. Picture this. You're at a wedding, warm lights, the music gets louder, and your favorite song comes on. You see everyone getting up, spinning around, laughing, holding hands. You stay in your chair, drink in hand, half smiling while thinking, better not. What if I look ridiculous? What if everyone stares? What if my shirt wrinkles? You look around and realize no one's even paying attention to you. And as you sit there, watching everyone else having fun, you feel that bitter little sting. Maybe I should have just tried. Sometimes we're like someone holding a ticket to an amusement park, but staying outside watching the Ferris wheel go round, saying to ourselves, not yet, not today. This happened to Jim Carrey too. Yes, you see him and think he's the most carefree person in the world. But no. In an interview, he admitted that for years he thought he didn't have the right to laugh, that if he let himself enjoy life, it would come back to punish him later. Until one day, he got it. Happiness isn't something you earn by finishing all your tasks or by being perfect. You give it to yourself the moment you finally say, "That's enough waiting." In his own words, Your need for acceptance can make you invisible. Live your life and love it. And if you think about it, that's exactly what Seneca said. It's not that we have little time, but that we waste much of it. He wasn't just talking about the clock. He was talking about all those moments we let slip by because we decided to hide from happiness. Instead of dancing, we watch. Instead of laughing, we pretend it doesn't matter. Instead of living, we keep planning for the perfect day, and it never comes. So let me ask you, how much longer are you going to sit there with your hands on your knees, waiting for someone to show up with a certificate that says, "Now you can be happy," because no one's bringing it? That permission is yours to give, and it doesn't have to be complicated. One thing you can do is say yes more often. Even if the voice in your head is screaming, "You'll look ridiculous," tell it to shut up for a bit. When someone invites you to dance, even if you feel like you have 2 left feet, get up. Even if you only take 2 steps and turn red, your body will thank you, and your mind will start to believe it too. Remember, no one remembers how you danced, only that you did. Also, try planning something just for you. And don't worry, it doesn't have to be huge. It could be as simple as an afternoon at the movies with popcorn and your phone off, a walk through the park saying hi to every dog, or even buying yourself one of those coffees that smell like winter and cinnamon. Not because you earned it or deserve it, but because it's good for you. And that's reason enough. And finally, and this is my favorite, invent your own little happiness ritual. Something small, even silly, that only you know about. It could be wearing your favorite socks on Mondays to start the week on the right foot, or making yourself a special breakfast on an ordinary Wednesday. Those little rebellions are your way of saying to the universe, "Yes, I can be happy even today." My friend, the next time life invites you to the dance floor, don't stay in the corner with your hands in your pockets. Get up, take a step, smile even if your knees shake. To learn to think positively, you have to give yourself permission to be happy, here and now. Because the music doesn't wait, and the song has already started. Lesson 15. Why do you let others decide your worth? How many times has an offhand comment made you feel smaller than an ant on a dance floor? It can be something as simple as a coworker saying, "Wow, you've really got a Monday face today," and suddenly you spend the rest of the day feeling tired, even if you woke up full of energy. Or a friend joking, "That shirt is original," and now you don't feel comfortable wearing it. It's as if their opinion had a direct button to lower your self-esteem. And the strange thing is, many times, that person didn't even mean it badly. It's happened to you, I'm sure. You hand over a power others should never have. The power to decide how you feel about yourself. And that's where the ideas of an old friend come in, Epictetus, who said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about those things." Think about it. It's not the comment, not the meme, not the strange look. It's the meaning you attach to it that makes you feel one way or another. You're the one giving it the label, and with it, the emotional weight. Picture this. Someone posts a meme in your work WhatsApp group making fun of your idea from the last meeting. There's an awkward silence. Everyone's reading, waiting for your reaction. You could get angry, go on the defensive, or just stay quiet and swallow the frustration. Or you could reply, "That's right, we'll try a different approach. Maybe we'll hit the jackpot with the next idea." You say it calmly, smiling. You don't just disarm the jab, you send a silent message. You're not defined by jokes or criticism. My friend, the next time someone tries to slap a label on you, ask yourself if you're going to let it stick or tear it off right away. Your worth doesn't come from their opinion. It comes from how you choose to see yourself. And holding on to that confidence, that inner security, is what makes you unshakable. There are simple ways to train this, but you have to be consistent. Here's one. Start the day with a phrase that reminds you who you are before the world tries to tell you. Something like, "I'm here, I'm enough, and nothing is going to move me today." Don't say it like you're reading instructions. Say it with intention, standing tall, as if you were putting on invisible armor. Another key, Celebrate every small win. Yes, even sending that email you've been putting off for weeks. Pause, breathe, and tell yourself, I did it. I'm stronger than before. It might sound simple, but your mind registers it as proof that you're capable. And proof collected day after day builds a foundation no one can tear down. Here's the most powerful part. Define your anchor beliefs. Write down those truths about yourself that won't change even if everything around you shakes. It could be, I have the resources to move forward, or my worth doesn't depend on anyone's applause. Do it before the storm hits, so that when the wind blows, you're not improvising who you are. Practice this one day, then two, then a week. And before you know it, you'll be moving through life with a calm and confidence that aren't up for negotiation. Comments will pass, jokes will pass, but you'll still be the same, steady and calm like a rock in the middle of the waves. So tell me, are you going to keep letting others decide your worth? Or starting today, will you take the reins? If it's the latter, write it in the comments. Today, I decide my worth and no one changes it. Lesson 16. Stop fighting yourself. Picture this, you've got a little devil on your shoulder. No horns, no pitchfork, it doesn't even raise its voice, because it doesn't need to. It has your voice, your face, and it always shows up when you're most vulnerable. Sometimes, just as you wake up, it says, you won't achieve anything today either. Or when you look in the mirror before heading out, do you really think anyone's going to take you seriously dressed like that? When you're in a meeting and everyone's talking, it whispers, better stay quiet so you don't embarrass yourself. If you try something new, there it is. Why bother? You know you're going to fail. Even when things go well, it doesn't shut up. Don't get your hopes up, you'll ruin it anyway. That little devil moves with you, quiet and patient, planting doubt and poison, until there comes a point when you don't even question it anymore, because it convinces you that what it says is true. Sound familiar? Picture this situation. You're about to ring the doorbell for a first date, and the little devil is already at it. You're going to mess this up. When they see you, they'll think you're not enough. Seriously, that's the shirt you chose? Every phrase makes you shrink a little more, and every step toward the door feels like you're walking with chains around your ankles. As you climb the stairs, you glance down at your shoes just in case. You tighten the laces to make sure you won't trip, smooth out your shirt to get rid of wrinkles, and inside, the little devil laughs. Look at you, trying to hide how pathetic you are. And in that moment, when you finally imagine him face to face, you discover something even more unsettling. The little devil is you. You, repeating the same song you've been singing for years. My friend, that's the most unfair fight you can have. Because there's no way to win if you don't put your fists down against yourself. If Seneca could see you now, with your shoulders slumped and your eyes on the floor, he'd put a hand on your shoulder and say, with his usual calm, no one is more miserable than the one who hates himself. Because he knew well, the deepest damage doesn't come from outside, but from the stories you choose to tell yourself inside. And don't worry if you're wondering right now how to silence that voice. I've been there too. I had my own little devil, and by training my mind, I learned how to corner him and turn that mental prison into a refuge. So let me share with you some tricks that helped me start thinking positively and choosing thoughts that lift me up instead of tearing me down. To begin with, catch those phrases you use to attack yourself. Don't let them float around in your head. Write them down like tweets from a hater. You're a disaster, you're bound to fail. No one will ever love you. Then read them later with a clear head, and you'll realize how absurd they sound once they're out of the shadows. Second, swap them for something fairer. For example, instead of, I'm sure they won't like me, try, I'm gonna be myself and let whatever happens, happen. You won't believe how much lighter your chest feels when you give yourself permission to just be you. And lastly, reward yourself every time you manage to quiet that inner devil. Yes, reward yourself. Even if it's something silly, a little dance in the bathroom, a well-played to the mirror, a quiet clap when no one's watching. It's not ridiculous, it's training. If Seneca were alive today, He'd probably do the same as you. Look at that little devil with a smile and even block him on Instagram with a curt, "Not interested in this content." Because deep down, Stoicism is precisely about this: taking control of your mind, stopping the self-sabotage, and choosing thoughts that make you stronger every day, like choosing the best seed to plant. So tell me, do you really want to keep being the troll of your own mind? To learn to think positively and turn your head into a place you actually enjoy living in, you first need to lower your fists and stop beating yourself up. The key has always been in your pocket. 17th lesson. Are you still trying to control what you can't? My friend, let me describe something and tell me if it sounds familiar. You've got your day planned down to the last detail. Your outfit's ready, your to-do list set, even the podcast you're going to listen to on your way to work. Everything under control. But all it takes is for the subway to run 3 minutes late or a coffee to spill on your shirt, and you change completely. Your body tenses, your mind fills with silent curses, and in your head your whole day is already ruined. Have you noticed how much we try to control? Not only what we do, but also how people talk to us, how things should turn out, even how others should feel. We want everything so under control that we forget to breathe when something goes off script. Picture this. You're sitting at a cafe terrace, coffee in hand, the sun on your face, perfect temperature. But just when you're about to get up and head to the beach, the sky clouds over and it starts to rain. Not a soft romantic drizzle, no. A downpour that destroys umbrellas and leaves your flip-flops floating. You get angry, of course. You think, why right now? But don't you see? You're already in control freak mode. It's like wanting to command the wind that moves the palm trees. Can you imagine someone trying to give orders to the wind? It's ridiculous. Yet we do it every day. I've done it too, I won't lie. I once organized a boat trip with friends. I had everything ready. The route, the food, even a sailor-themed playlist on my phone. But the sea that day was rough. Very rough. I started calling the company, asking if they could postpone it, move it, change the location. I spent the whole afternoon insisting, while the sky stayed gray and the water impossible. In the end, they canceled. Tired of fighting what I couldn't control, I improvised a picnic on the beach instead. Nothing like the original plan, but you know what? It turned out to be one of the best moments of that summer. That's when I understood something Epictetus repeated over and over. It wasn't the events that had me frustrated, it was my interpretation of them. That obsession with wanting things to go my way. He said, "It's not things that disturb us, but the opinions we have about things." He lived this truth daily. Born a slave, and still he taught that true freedom isn't in your circumstances, but in your mind. Epictetus practiced every day what you and I need more than ever: the ability to let go of what you can't control and choose how you respond. And it's not just ancient philosophy. Neuroscientist Maya Shankar explains it clearly. The secret isn't avoiding change, but adapting to it quickly. She had to rebuild her life after an injury ended her career as a professional violinist. What she proposes is developing cognitive adaptation, meaning training your mind to stay flexible so it doesn't break every time reality doesn't match your plans. Because, spoiler, it almost never does. And this isn't just for big tragedies or waiting until you're injured like she was. You can practice it in everyday life. For example, you plan to work out at 7, but the subway never comes. Traffic swallows your time, or you suddenly have to take care of someone. What do? You can spend the whole day cursing and feeling like a victim, or you can run around your neighborhood or do a quick routine in your living room. You keep the rhythm. You keep your center. That's the real muscle we want to train here. Keeping calm and confident so that nothing and no one can shake your mind. So tell me, are you ready to stop wasting energy on what you can't change and redirect it toward what does depend on you? First, try this. Once a week, write 2 columns. In one, what you can control. In the other, what you can't. For example, you can control your attitude, your diet, your rest, your effort. You can't control the weather, last-minute changes, or other people's decisions. That clarity changes everything. Second, when you start to feel frustration, pause. Breathe deeply, literally, and quietly remind yourself, it's not the event, it's my judgment. Use that phrase from Epictetus as an anchor. Third, always have a backup plan ready. Did plan A fall through? Don't slip into victim mode. Rearrange, act. Choose one action that does depend on you and keep moving. Because in the end, what separates the person who sinks in chaos from the one who stands firm is that ability to let go of the uncontrollable without losing direction. If you can't control the sea, why not learn to navigate it? Sometimes it's not about changing what happens, but about changing how you face it. Because, my friend, your mindset is everything. Lesson number 18. Live like you have no time to waste. My friend, what I'm about to say is a little harsh but necessary. Imagine someone tells you you only have one day left. Exactly 24 hours, not a minute more. Would you really stay angry over that message you didn't get a reply to? Would you keep replaying that silly argument you had yesterday? Of course not. Because in that moment, everything that steals your calm and confidence becomes ridiculous. And yet, you live as if your days were endless. As if there will always be a tomorrow to fix things or truly start. How many days do you think you have left? Really, it's not that many. To make it clear, I'll tell you what Tim Urban did. He illustrated life with a sheet full of little boxes. Each box represents a day of your life, from birth until, theoretically, death. Yes, no one knows the exact day, but let's assume it's many years. Can you imagine that sheet? You can even create it yourself. When you see it, I'm sure the first thing you think is, wow, that's not a lot. The problem is we think we have tons of boxes ahead, but we cross them off rapidly with nonsense that leads nowhere. And watch out. Every time you lose your calm over something that doesn't matter, you don't just erase a box. You erase a day you could have lived in peace and purpose. Seneca understood this very well. In his work on the shortness of life, he wrote, "It is not that we have little time, but that we waste much." He wasn't trying to scare you. He wanted to wake you up, to make you realize that your energy, your mental peace, and your confidence are as valuable as time, and they fade just as fast if you don't take care of them. The Stoic didn't waste his days on useless arguments or chasing approval. He knew the clock doesn't stop, and every day lived with calm and focus is a day won. Think about it. You spend half an hour doubting whether to send an email, 2 hours on TikTok watching recipes you'll never cook, and you postpone calling your mom because, "I'll call her tomorrow." Then you say you don't have time for yourself. But no, the problem isn't time. It's what you spend it on, and how you let emotions and reactions you don't control drain it from you. So, my friend, if you don't want to reach the end and realize you've spent most of your days on things you don't even remember, start today. Ask yourself the uncomfortable question, what can I do right now to truly live? First, eliminate one thing you know doesn't add anything to your life. That endless scrolling, that series you don't even like but keep watching anyway, that habit of checking your phone every 2 minutes. Remove a time thief from your day, and you'll see how you regain space for what really matters. Second, dedicate a little time each day to something that brings you closer to who you want to be. It doesn't have to be a full hour. It can be 10 minutes of reading, a short walk to clear your thoughts, writing 2 lines about what you learned today. It may seem small, but it adds up. And best of all, it gives you the feeling that you're steering your life. Third, say what you need to say to the people you love. Today, not tomorrow, because tomorrow might not come. Call, send that message, make that visit. Don't save your words for a special moment. The special moment is now. And when you do, you free yourself from burdens that, without you realizing it, steal your peace and mental clarity. In the end, living like you have no time to waste doesn't mean rushing around. It means choosing carefully where you put your attention and energy. It means not letting a silly argument or repetitive thought steal an entire day from you. Because every time you choose calm over reaction and purpose over distraction, you gain a day that counts. And when you add up many days like that, you become someone nothing and no one can shake from the inside. Walk like you believe in yourself. Imagine that every time you walk through a door, A little orchestra follows you. Yes, a whole orchestra, waiting to see if you walk in like the main character, or just an extra. And the funny thing is, the orchestra is really you, judging every step. See, hunched over again. Nobody notices you. Even you can't stand yourself. Every move feeds that mental soundtrack, and depending on how you walk, it plays like a triumph or a funeral. Tell me, how do you enter a room full of people? Head down, coat hanging off you, phone in hand like a shield? Or with your back straight, eyes up, as if you know you deserve to be there? Because every step you take doesn't just speak to others. It shouts to your own mind, trust or hide. I remember a workshop I attended years ago. It was called, of all things, Learning to Walk Positively. Yeah, it sounded strange, but I signed up. They had us walk around the room just like that and asked us to notice every detail, feet shuffling, eyes on the floor, hands hidden. It was uncomfortable because every lap around the room your head kept saying, "I'm worthless, I don't even know how to walk." But then came the good part. The instructor said, "Now walk like you're happy." Then, walk like you're thinking, "What a beautiful day." And finally, walk like you're thinking, "This outfit looks great on me." And that's when I got it. The mind doesn't run the show as much as we think. The more you walked with confidence, the more the inner voice changed. Little by little, you started thinking, "Hey, this isn't so bad." Your body is like a flag, my friend. If you walk in waving high, your mind says, "This is my place." If you walk in crumpled, your mind agrees, "Better hide." Epictetus put it with Stoic humor and deep truth. No man is free if he is not master of himself. And being master of yourself doesn't mean you don't tremble. It means you don't let your body give it away, or let your thoughts turn it into a fact. If he were at a modern party today, he'd probably glance at you with a half smile and say, "Chin up, nobody here pays your taxes." And I'm not the only one who says so. Jordan Harbinger, an expert on social skills, explains it like this. When you walk with intention, your body starts to convince your mind. With each firm step, the toxic voice quiets down. And suddenly, you're no longer thinking, "I don't belong here," but instead, "Of course I do. This is my place." So let me give you a few tricks to train that positive voice from the moment you walk through a door. First, walk in as if someone you care about is already waiting for you. Back straight, eyes up, steady steps, like every square foot belongs to you. Then, imagine someone's filming you and later you'll have to watch the video. Just that thought makes you more aware of what your body is saying. And finally, before leaving home, take 10 seconds for the hero pose. Hands on your hips, eyes forward, deep breath. Even if you feel ridiculous, it works. When you do it, your mind gets the message. We're not victims, we're the main character. Next time you enter a room, ask yourself, do you want to look like you're running away, or like you belong? To learn to think positively, walk like you already believe in yourself. Because with each firm step, your mind starts to trust you again. Lesson 19. Surround yourself with people who add, not subtract. Think about this for a moment. You're at work, and that colleague who always sees the negative starts their usual speech that nothing is worth it. You go for coffee with that friend who, every time you talk, reminds you of your mistakes and makes you feel like you'll never achieve anything. Or you get home, and someone close makes comments that sound like jokes, but leave you with a bitter feeling. Meanwhile, you wonder why lately your confidence feels shaky and keeping calm has become harder. Now reflect. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Because believe it or not, you're becoming like them. It's like letting your phone charge with a broken cable. Instead of gaining energy, it drains you little by little. And you don't even notice until one day you have no battery left for anything. Seneca made it clear. Associate with those who can improve you. Whoever is with you is with you. It's not just a nice phrase. It's a warning. Your company shapes your character, your thoughts, and even your ability to stay strong when everything gets tough. I realized what Seneca said firsthand. There was a moment when I changed my habits, started caring for my mind, and sought growth. Then I looked around, and the pieces didn't fit. The 5 people I spent the most time with were like this. Two undermined my confidence and made me feel small. Another complained about everything. One was so comfortable in their comfort zone that any change scared them. And the last one lived in eternal victimhood. I wanted to move forward, discover opportunities, strengthen my mind, but I was stuck. Every time I was with them, I left drained, feeling like everything was harder than it really was. And I'm not the only one. Oprah Winfrey shared that something similar happened to her. She understood that her success wasn't just from talent or hard work, but from surrounding herself with people who pushed her to grow. She cut off relationships that drained her, even when they were close or meant a lot in the past, because she understood that to stay strong and confident, she had to protect her space. So, my friend, want to find out if the people around you add to your life or subtract? Let's check right now. First, take a snapshot of your environment. Don't put it off, do it right now. Grab paper and pen. Yes, really. And write down the names of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It doesn't matter if they're family, friends, co-workers, or someone you chat with daily. Now, next to each name, put a simple arrow up or down. Up, if after spending time with that person you feel more energized, motivated, with new ideas, or more calm. Down if instead you leave drained, doubtful, anxious, or feeling your confidence shrinks a little more. Then, look at the pattern. If more than half those arrows point down, there's your reason why lately it's been hard to keep calm and confident. It's like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of stones. No matter how hard you try, the extra weight slows you down. Next, mark in another color the people you truly want to keep close. And think about how you can spend more time with them. Maybe it's a weekly coffee, a quick call to share good news, or even collaborating on a project together. You don't need grand gestures, just more moments that recharge you. Well done. Now comes the hard part, reducing time with those who subtract. It's not about disappearing from their lives overnight, but about protecting yours. Start by cutting short conversations that always end in complaints or criticism. Don't get into unnecessary arguments. And find healthy excuses to prioritize other activities that do add to you. Finally, commit to being someone who adds too. Ask yourself what you bring when someone spends time with you. Do you leave them feeling more alive or less? Because change doesn't start only with what you remove. It starts with what you offer. Because in the end, your ability to keep calm and trust yourself also depends on who walks beside you. If you surround yourself with people who believe in you, inspire you, and push you forward, you'll have an invisible shield against anything trying to shake your mind. The question is, are you willing to make that cleanup and keep only those who add? And if everything we've seen so far has helped you recover your calm and confidence, wait, because what's coming next is the piece that can hold it all together. Because there's no point in learning to stand firm if you then let certain people dim your light. That, perhaps, is the most decisive factor to shield your mind and inner peace. Lesson 20. Learn to lose without breaking. Picture this. You're at the starting line of a 5-kilometer race. You've trained all week, even gave up sweets to feel lighter. The gun goes off, you start at a good pace, feeling strong. This time for sure, you tell yourself. But in the last kilometer, with your heart in your throat and your legs heavy, 2 people pass you. One of them even smiles as they go by. You cross the finish line, gasping, staring at the ground thinking, how ridiculous, why did I even come? Everyone just watched me fail. My friend, that feeling of defeat, we all know it. But let me tell you something, losing doesn't mean you're a failure. It's just another crack in the vase, not the whole vase. Like those Japanese kintsugi pieces, where the cracks are filled with gold instead of being hidden. Because those cracks aren't your shame, they're your story. Marcus Aurelius said it plainly. Losses only hurt if we take them as such. If he, carrying an empire on his shoulders and surrounded by enemies, could see it that way, then why would you treat yourself so cruelly? Imagine him today, posting a photo of his broken trophy on Instagram with the caption, "It didn't break, it transformed." Now, my friend, I know it's not always easy. We quickly convince ourselves that failing means we're worthless. But no, the mind learns more from falls than from medals, if you know how to train it. So let's look at how to do it without breaking yourself in the process. First, start small. As Jordan Peterson says, the most common mistake when you fail is believing your whole self is broken. You fail a test and suddenly you're useless. No, focus on the smallest part that actually failed. Got a bad grade? Maybe it's just your study method that doesn't work. Ask yourself, what's the smallest detail I can adjust without tearing myself down completely? That lets you stand back up with dignity instead of crushing yourself with a hammer. Then, set a manageable micro-change. Don't promise yourself that tomorrow you'll study 5 hours a day or run a full marathon. Bring that demand down to something real. As Peterson says, even 15 minutes more a day or every other day counts. You'll see that you can move forward little by little, and your confidence will start to breathe again. Next, don't let your inner tyrant take over. Yes, that voice that rubs its hands every time you mess up, eager to tear you down. Don't turn every mistake into a whip for yourself. Acknowledge the failure, but treat yourself the way you'd treat a good friend. Firm, yes, but kind. And finally, notice and acknowledge the good too. When you, or someone else, does something well, even something small, say it. Put it into words. Congratulate yourself. If you don't, your mind only clings to the dark side. For example, today I spoke up in the meeting even though my hands were shaking. Good for me. Recognizing the positive makes it easier to try again next time, without fear of breaking. My friend, defeats are not the end of the road. They're the golden marks that give your story its character. Each one reminds you that you're alive, that you try, that you keep moving forward. So next time you cross that finish line gasping for breath, remember Marcus, the kintsugi vas, and your own strength. And now tell me, which of your cracks are you going to fill with gold starting today? Leave it in the comments. Maybe your answer will be exactly what inspires someone else who still believes that defeats define them. Lesson 21. Be the one who stands when everything falls. They say ice doesn't forgive. And in 1915, a group of men found out the hardest way possible. In the middle of Antarctica, an endless sea of ice and a wind that cuts the skin like blades. The ship Endurance was trapped, imprisoned between sheets of ice slowly crushing it. Ernest Shackleton, the captain, watches his crew. Fear starts to set in. Some shout, others shut down in silence. The cold is unbearable, and supplies won't last forever. Any inexperienced leader would have broken right there. But Shackleton didn't. He walks among his men, speaks calmly, transmits confidence. No false promises, only a firm message. We will all get out of this together. For months, guided by that unbreakable calm, they survive until rescue arrives. I tell you this because it's a brutal reminder of what happens when, even in disaster, you choose to stay calm. It's not magic, it's leadership. It's like being a lighthouse in the middle of a storm. You can't stop the waves, but you can guide those around you with your light, even when the night is darkest. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that could have been in Shackleton's mind. Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but that stands firm and tames the fury of the surrounding water. See? He wasn't talking about coldness, but about a strength that doesn't get swept away by the current. True strength doesn't show on calm days, but in those moments when everything seems lost, and yet you remain standing. Now bring that to your life. Think about your work. A problem hits suddenly. An angry client, an impossible deadline, a call that changes everything. The rest start to run, raise their voices, panic mode kicks in. And you, what do? If you're the one who takes a deep breath, lowers your voice, observes before acting, you're the one who sees solutions where others see only chaos. And believe me, in those moments, everyone looks to you, even if they don't say it. Here comes the challenge. Next time you find yourself in the middle of a whirlwind like that, ask yourself, do I want to be dragged away, or do I want to be the one holding steady? Because keeping calm isn't passivity, it's strategy. Start with a simple gesture. Quietly remind yourself, like a mental anchor. I am not the chaos. I am the calm. It may seem small, but it changes your posture, your gaze, your breathing. Then, act slowly and with intention. The one who rushes stumbles. The one who measures each step advances. And finally, trust that the storm will pass. It always does. But if you've managed to resist, you'll come out stronger, with your head held high and the respect of those around you. My friend, this is the moment you decide what role you'll play in the story. You can be just another person who shouts and gets swept away. Or you can be the one who, even when everything falls, stands firm. Because in life, you won't always control what happens outside, but you can always decide how strong you stand inside. And there, in that space of calm no one can touch, is where you truly win. Lesson 22. Let your mind be your refuge. Picture this. You come home after a day worthy of a documentary called How to Ruin Everything in 24 Hours. You toss your keys on the table, clank, collapse on the couch, and close your eyes thinking, finally. But no, my friend, your mind has been waiting for you, rubbing its hands. Well, champ, that little voice says with sarcasm, happy with today's performance? Because what a show! You forgot to send the email, huh? Very professional. They probably already think you're incompetent. Yeah. And in the meeting, why did you say that? What a joke. Everyone looked at each other, you saw it. Well, it wasn't that bad. Oh wait, I'm not done. Remember when you fell in front of everyone in high school? What a scene, huh? I still blush just thinking about it. And there you are, still, while those thoughts parade through your mind one by one, each sharper than the last, like they're lining up to stab your self-esteem in turn. And just when you think they're done, one more pops up from the back with a, oh, and another thing. And as you lie there staring at the ceiling, you realize your mind is like a mattress full of nails. You lay down expecting to rest, and end up getting pricked by every memory, every failure. In that moment, you can almost imagine Marcus Aurelius standing at your living room door in a tunic, eyebrow raised, hanging up an imaginary sign. Closed for drama after 9, he says, and walks off calmly. Because he already knew. The soul becomes stronger when it finds a place of rest within itself. And he didn't mean a physical place. He meant that ability to say to your own mind, that's enough for today. Thanks for the feedback, but it's time to close up shop. Living with a mind like this is like trying to sleep on a bed of nails. You don't understand why you wake up exhausted every morning, but the reason is right there. Your mind, instead of being a refuge, has become a cell that keeps poking at you. Marcus summed it up with his usual calm. The soul becomes stronger when it finds a place of rest within itself. If you can't sit with yourself without feeling attacked, my friend, you'll always be at war. And wars are exhausting. And don't think this is just ancient philosophy. Guy Winch, a psychologist known for his TED Talk on emotional first aid, puts it plainly. We care for physical wounds with bandages and ointments, but when we hurt ourselves emotionally, we just leave it there bleeding. He suggests we start treating our minds with the same care we give our bodies. Clean it, tend to it, and turn it into a safe space. Now, if you want to transform your head into a good place to be, let me share a few steps that help me. Every night I'd sit on the edge of my bed and go over all my failures of the day like I was on trial. All right, let's go through the list. You said something stupid in the meeting, didn't reply to that message on time, forgot to call your mom, and still haven't signed up for the gym. And there I'd be, hammering myself until I fell asleep, more worn out from my thoughts than from the day itself. Until one day, I decided to impose a curfew on my mind. I literally set a reminder on my phone that said, "Sleep in peace." Every night at 9, it went off, and I forced myself to save the self-reproach for tomorrow. It wasn't easy at first, but little by little I noticed my mind stopped feeling like a battlefield. So here's the idea. Set a cutoff time for beating yourself up. Then create a corner in your home that invites calm. It doesn't have to be big or expensive. A candle that smells good, a soft blanket, maybe a book that always makes you smile. Something simple, but yours. A corner that tells your mind, here, there's no fighting, only rest. And lastly, when that inner voice comes knocking to remind you of your mistakes, answer it with humor. I do. I literally say, thanks for your opinion, brain, but today, I'm not hiring you as a critic, and move on. That voice loses power when you stop taking it so seriously. To learn to think positively, you have to turn your mind into a refuge, a place you feel safe in, not a prison where you punish yourself. So next time you get home after a terrible day, try hanging a sign in your mind that says, closed for drama after 9. And since we're here, tell me in the comments, what phrase would you put on the door of your mind to remind yourself you deserve to rest? Write it below. And who knows, maybe you'll inspire someone else to stop fighting themselves. Lesson 23. Train your mind every day. Be honest, how many hours do you dedicate to your body, and how many to your mind? You go to the gym, stretch, watch what you eat. But your mind, my friend, do you train it? Because if you don't be surprised when, in the moment you most need calm and confidence, it collapses like a sandcastle. Your mind is like a young, energetic dog. If you don't train it, it will run in every direction, pull at the leash, and tear up everything it finds. And no, it doesn't do it because it's bad. It does it because no one has taught it to focus, to stay still, to follow direction. The same goes for your thoughts. If you don't train them, they'll drag you exactly when you most need to control them. Picture this. You decide to meditate for 5 minutes. You sit down, breathe, and 30 seconds later, you're thinking about that email you need to send, what you're going to eat, whether you should reply to that message. That's your inner dog pulling on the leash. The next day, you try again. At 40 seconds, your mind slips away again. But little by little, without even realizing it, the day comes when you make it through the full 5 minutes anchored in your breath. And then, when a tense situation comes along in real life, you discover you can hold on to your calm without being swept away by your thoughts. You know what Epictetus would tell you at that moment? No great thing is created suddenly. Mental strength isn't a talent you're born with. It's a daily practice. It's like lifting weights. It's not about one giant lift on a single day. It's about training a little every day until that strength becomes part of you. The Stoics understood this. If you wanted to stay firm in the face of insults, losses, or fears, you had to practice calm every single day, not just when problems showed up. And today, science says the same. Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist and educator, explains that daily repetition literally shapes your brain. Do you think your brain is like a stone that never changes? Not at all. It has an incredible ability to adapt and get stronger. And here's the interesting part. You don't need to spend hours training it. Small but consistent routines can make it more resilient. Just like your body needs movement to stay strong, your mind needs its own exercise if you want it to withstand any storm. Here's where you decide what training to give it. Start small. Each morning, read 2 pages of a book that inspires you. It doesn't matter if it's just 2. What matters is that you're training your mind to start the day with something that nourishes you, not something that drains you. Then, spend 5 minutes writing how you feel and what you learned from the day before. That simple habit helps you organize your thoughts, see patterns, and notice what robs you of calm and what gives it back. And before bed, instead of losing an hour scrolling through social media, put on a podcast that makes you think better, or an audio meditation that lets you end the day in peace. At first, you might feel like nothing's happening, that it's too little. But it's just like physical training. In the first weeks, you don't notice changes, until one day you realize you lift more weight, run faster, or last longer without getting tired. It's the same with your mind. And here's a key detail. Every time you train your mind, even for just a few minutes, you're building your confidence. Because when the hard moment comes, you know you have tools. You know you can keep calm without losing control. Training your mind isn't a luxury. It's your life insurance for when the world turns upside down. If you don't do it, you'll depend on everything going well to feel at peace. If you do it, you'll be the one deciding how you feel, even if everything around you is chaos. And believe me, that feeling of knowing you can trust your mind is priceless. So ask yourself, will you keep letting your inner dog drag you around, or will you teach it to walk by your side? Because the difference between getting lost in chaos or staying calm comes from what you do today, not tomorrow. A trained mind doesn't break. Every day you practice, you get closer to being unshakable. And that's the kind of strength no one can take from you. Lesson 24. Be the spark for others. My friend, have you ever noticed how the whole atmosphere shifts when someone lights up a smile in the middle of chaos? Maybe you've never thought about it, but you can be that spark too. That little light that cuts through the tension in a room full of clouds. Picture this. You're stuck in an endless supermarket line, carts bumping into each other, sighs all around. The cashier looks ready to give up. Lost stare, clumsy hands. Instead of joining the chorus of frowns, you look at him and say, "Hang in there, almost done." At first, he looks at you, surprised, and then a tired smile creeps onto his face. And suddenly, the whole room feels a little lighter. Like your words cracked open a window. The best part is, you don't just change his day, you change yours too. Because when you choose to spread something good, even in the smallest moments, your mind starts to believe there really are things worth thinking positively about. If you stay anchored to everyone else's negativity, your thoughts fill with the same shadows. But if you dare to be the first to light something different, your own clouds start to clear too. Keanu Reeves is the best example of this. Always so discreet, so calm, so human. In interviews, he never brags, but the stories speak for him. He gives up his seat on the subway without anyone noticing, stops to listen to a nervous fan, helps carry boxes on set. He doesn't seek attention or applause. He simply understands that by being kind to others, he also reminds himself there's still light, even on the grayest days. And he probably understood perfectly what Marcus Aurelius said. What's not good for the hive is not good for the bee. Because we're not separate. If the air around you is heavy, you breathe it too. So why not start clearing it yourself? Now I want to challenge you. A little dare. Today, be the spark for someone else. How? For example, when the cashier tells you the total, look them in the eye and say something like, "Thanks for putting up with all of us today." Or when you step into the elevator and see a serious neighbor, smile and say, "Good morning, how's your week going?" It doesn't matter if they respond or not. What matters is breaking that chain of indifference where it usually shows up, in everyday moments. Then, when you notice someone near you stuck or frustrated, offer something simple, a hand to carry something, an idea to solve a problem, or even just a hot coffee to give them a breather. And finally, share your own little victories with those around you. Tell them you have bad days too, but that you found a way to turn them around. Sometimes, that's exactly what someone else needs to dare to try. My friend, don't underestimate the power of being the spark. In the end, we're all sitting around the same grill waiting for someone to light the coals. And if it's you who strikes the match, you don't just warm the room. You also make sure your own fire keeps burning. Lesson number 25. Focus on what moves you. Picture this. A huge garden with fertile soil and a little sunlight breaking through the clouds. On one side, bright, tall, beautiful flowers. On the other, a tangled mess of weeds wrapping themselves around everything they touch. Every day you decide what to water. If your attention goes to the weeds, your fears, your excuses, your distractions, they grow fast, taking over everything. But if you water the flowers, your passions, what fulfills you, what makes you feel alive, the garden transforms into something worth admiring. The same happens in your mind. My friend, you decide what kind of garden you want to live in. Seneca said it with his usual clarity. If you don't know which port you're sailing to, no wind will be favorable. And he was right. If your mind is adrift, every distraction, Every toxic thought becomes a hurricane that blows you off course. Today, he'd probably post on his socials something like, "Delete that distracting app, sailor, and grab the wheel." You know who understood this better than anyone? Listen to this. Temple Grandin, back when almost no one even knew what autism was, much less how to help someone with it, received a diagnosis that for many sounded like a sentence. She could have stayed there, believing every word they told her. You can't learn like others. You'll never have a job. Forget about being happy. And for a while, those words echoed in her head. But one day she decided to change the dialogue. She started telling herself, "I understand animals better than anyone. My way of seeing the world has value. I can create something no one else has imagined." While others laughed, she told herself, "Maybe I'm not like them, but I have something to offer." She focused on what truly moved her: animals. Instead of getting stuck in thoughts like, "I'm not normal," she filled her mind with stronger ones. "I'm different, and that's why I can see what others can't." And while others watered the weeds of doubt, she tended the flowers of her purpose. Today, Temple Grandin is a global inspiration. She invented systems that improved the lives of millions of animals and became a role model for millions of people. Not because she eliminated all the negative thoughts overnight, but because she chose to feed the ones that made her stronger again and again. Now let me ask you, sound familiar? You sit at your desk, laptop open, telling yourself today's the day you'll finally make progress on your project. 5 minutes later, you're already scrolling through your ex's dog photos on Instagram, replying to memes in the group chat, and checking, for the third time, if your living room plant needs water. And the project? Untouched. If you see yourself in this, don't worry, you're not alone. Cal Newport, author of Deep Work and Digital Minimalism, explains that our mind is like a spotlight. Whatever you aim it at, grows. If you scatter it across 1,000 little lights, notifications, social media, inner doubts, all you get is exhaustion without building anything. But if you focus it, even for a little while each day, you start to feel like you're moving forward. And that alone begins to change your mindset. So let's get serious about this. First, silence all notifications and put your phone in a drawer. Or better yet, in another room. Don't try that. "I'll just turn it face down" while you keep sneaking glances every minute. Then don't try to eat the whole elephant at once. Break your task into 20 or 30-minute blocks. Set a timer and tell your mind, just this. When it rings, get up, stretch, drink some water, breathe, then come back. It's like interval training. You work with intensity, rest just enough, and return stronger. And if, in the middle of your task, you notice your mind wandering, back to the memes, the dog, the doubts, take a deep breath and ask yourself, which flowers am I watering right now? That question alone helps you come back. Remember, my friend, no one else is going to choose for you which thoughts flourish and which wither. The next time you lose your way and catch yourself watering the weeds, stop for a second and return to watering what truly moves you. Because to learn to think positively, you have to focus your energy on what fills you with life. And believe me, the flowers always give back more than you give them. You've come a long way already. But did you think you'd seen it all? Not yet. There's still one last secret. That final step that separates those who try from those who actually make it. Get ready, because what's coming next could be the beginning of everything. Lesson 26. Don't let an emotion ruin your life. It's late. The clock says past 11, but you're still in front of the computer. Tired? In a bad mood. You know you should have finished hours ago, but a last-minute urgent task came up. Your partner calls from the other room telling you that's enough to close the laptop and pay attention to them. But you can't, or rather, you don't want to. You're frustrated because the computer is slow, the programs won't load, and everything seems to be against you right when you're in the biggest rush. You try to do everything at once, read, edit, send, and you do, with a mistake, a serious one, the kind that could earn you a big scolding, or worse. Then comes the emptiness. The anger, the why did I react like that, and it's not the first time. It's happened before. A bad look, a misplaced word, a click made without thinking. And the funny thing is, it's not the problem that ruins your day, it's your reaction to the problem. That emotion that shows up suddenly and takes the wheel, while you're just there, a passenger in your own head. Seneca wrote about this a lot in On Anger. He believed anger was the most destructive of impulses, that it appears quickly, disguised as justice, but then destroys everything. And the worst part is, it never comes alone. It always drags something with it. A bad decision, a broken relationship, a lost opportunity. That's why he insisted on stopping it the moment it starts to show. He wrote something that will stay with you for a while. No test of greatness is more reliable than to remain in a state where nothing can disturb you. And the more you think about it, the more sense it makes. Do you think he meant being made of stone? Of course not. Even if it doesn't seem like it, the Stoics were human too, with feelings. What he meant was that nothing, no matter how strong, should be able to knock you off your center. Because feeling anger, sadness, fear, that's normal, yes. But letting those emotions decide for you, that's something you can avoid. So my friend, next time you feel anger starting to take over, how will you take back control before it wrecks your day? Let's go back to that opening scene. You're there, in front of the computer, the screen frozen, the clock ticking, your partner calling from the hallway telling you it's time to stop. Anger starts to rise in your chest, you start to sweat. Every sound irritates you. Every second feels like a provocation. Your blood boils. You want to yell, slam the laptop shut, blurt out anything. But right there, right at that moment when it feels unstoppable, you have a choice. As psychologist Jordan B. Peterson says, you're not obligated to act like that inner child who loses control when things don't go their way. You can be the adult who sets limits, who breathes, who observes before reacting. Because no, you don't always have to act in the heat of the moment. In fact, the wisest, and also the bravest thing is often to do nothing. For now. First, identify which emotion is speaking to you. Because yes, emotions speak, and if you don't recognize them, they'll just keep shouting louder. Name it. Say quietly, this is anger, or this is frustration, or this is fear. By naming it, you give it shape. And when something has shape, it stops being so scary. You start to see it for what it is, a temporary reaction, not a sentence, not an order, just an emotion that will pass. Then add what we could call your reset ritual. It doesn't need to be fancy. You don't need to turn off all the lights and sit in lotus position. Just break the loop. Stand up and stretch your arms, open the window. Touch something cold with your palms, like a faucet or a mug. Breathe deeply, but with intention, as if each exhale was letting out a bit of that inner poison. Walk to the balcony and stay there for 5 minutes. Look at the sky. Observe what's happening inside you without judging it. And from there, from that small pocket of silence, you can decide again. You can take back the wheel before a fleeting emotion destroys what matters most to you. Remember this, your mindset is everything, and if you don't master your emotions, they'll make the decisions for you. And most of the time, you won't like the outcome. As Seneca said, to conquer your emotions is to conquer your life. Now tell me, when was the last time an emotion ruined your day? Share it in the comments. Or simply write, Stoic at heart. Today I learned to take control from within. Lesson 27. Stop making excuses. Be honest with yourself, my friend. How many times have you said one of these phrases? I don't have time. I'm just not talented at that. I don't know where to start. Now tell me, is it really that you can't? Or is it just that you don't want to put in the effort? Excuses are comfortable. They protect you. They make you feel good about yourself because they give you a reason not to do what you know you should be doing. But here's the truth you don't want to hear. They're lies, and worse, they're keeping you from becoming your best self. Think about what we talked about earlier regarding your body. If you don't take care of it, you don't move forward. Well, the same thing happens with your mind. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it weakens. And every time you make an excuse, you're making it weaker. Every time you say, "I can't," you're training your brain to give up before even trying. Do you know what psychology says about this? Your mind hates feeling conflicted. So when you know you should do something but don't, your brain looks for an excuse to make you feel better. This is called cognitive dissonance. It's not that you're lazy, it's that it's raining so I can't go to the gym. It's not that you don't want to study, it's that it's not the right time. It's not that you're avoiding change, it's that you're just not ready yet. Do you see how dangerous this is? You're not just avoiding effort, you're convincing yourself that you're making the right choice. But some people refuse to play this mental game. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. When he arrived in the US, he barely spoke English. He had every excuse in the world to stay in his comfort zone. But instead of justifying himself, he learned the language. Instead of complaining about his accent, he turned it into his personal brand. Instead of saying, "This is too hard," he did it anyway. And because of that, he went from being unknown to becoming a successful bodybuilder, actor, entrepreneur, and politician. Do you think he made it because he was lucky? No, of course not. He made it because he didn't allow himself a single excuse. Marcus Aurelius had it right. Stop debating what a good man should be. Be one. Excuses are the barrier between who you are and who you could be. If you keep feeding them, you'll never move forward. Now tell me, have you ever set a goal to learn a new language? You imagined it all. I'm going to learn French. In 6 months, I'll be fluent. You're motivated. You download an app. You watch a video about the best method. But then days go by and the excuses start showing up. I don't know where to start. I'm just not good at languages. You can't really learn without living in the country. And months later, you still can't even order a coffee in French. So, are you ready to stop making excuses and actually become your best self? First, you need to trick your own brain. Instead of saying, "I don't feel like it today," try saying, "Okay, but just a little." Sounds silly? Try it. Are you mindlessly scrolling on your phone? Since I'm here, I'll open the app and do just one lesson. Driving somewhere? I'll listen to just a little bit of this French podcast. The interesting thing? Once you start, the resistance disappears. The hard part isn't doing it, it's starting. Another trick? The mandatory investment method. Every time you make an excuse, pay yourself for it. If you say, "I don't have time to study today," put €5 into a savings account. At the end of the month, use that money for something that helps you grow. A course, a book, something that pushes you forward. This way, every excuse costs you something, and little by little you'll start eliminating them from your life. Every time you say, "I can't," do something small to prove that you can. Every time you say, "It's not the right time," take action right now. Every time your mind tries to justify itself, silence it with action. So tell me, did you train your mind today? Or did you just fill it with excuses? Because if you truly want to become your best self, you need to start challenging your own excuses. Because if you don't, no one else will do it for you. Keeping calm and trusting yourself is what truly allows you to move forward without anything or anyone shaking your mind. Every day is a test, and at the same time, an opportunity to prove to yourself that you can stand firm. It's not about the world becoming easier, but about you becoming strong enough to get through any storm. Because true strength isn't in avoiding the blows, it's in staying standing after you take them. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "I stand firm even when everything shakes." The fact that you've made it to the end says a lot about your commitment to yourself. And that's what builds real strength, day by day. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you know someone who needs this message, share it with them. Click the videos on screen and let's keep walking this path together.